Guys, welcome to my channel. On this channel I do everything skincare, and I'm going to be dropping legit videos for you guys. Soon I'm going to be dropping tutorials for you guys, so guys, you don't want to miss out. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to create your own soap recipe. Like, you do not have to have basic knowledge in chemistry to do this, because I'm going to explain it in a way that a layman will be able to grasp what I'm saying, yet it is going to be very detailed. So don't be scared if you do not know calculations. Relax, I am here to make everything easy for you. You don't need to go about copying recipes, okay? You do not need to copy some person's recipe. You can sit down and put your own recipe together. So guys, if you are just seeing my face for the first time, please subscribe, turn on the notification bell so that you can be notified each time there's an upload coming from me. Yeah, the first thing I want you to understand is soap is made up of 3 basic ingredients. Okay, every other thing you put in a soap is secondary. Soap is made up of oil, is made up of lye, and your lye could be sodium hydroxide or potassium hydroxide, and it is made up of water as well. Okay, now these 3 ingredients that I have just called, you need to properly know your calculations, because if you do not calculate properly, your soap may not come out well. Lye is a very harsh substance. It is harsh on the skin, but when it has formed a soap, it now does a cleansing for us. Now you need to understand that when there is excess lye in a soap, that soap is termed a lye heavy soap, meaning that is, the lye, not all of the lye in that soap has supernified. Okay, it's now called a lye heavy soap, but there are precautions we take to ensure that there is no lye remaining in that soap, because if there is extra lye that did not supernify in that your soap formula, that soap is going to be harsh on the skin. So with superfatting is something we do. We add extra oils into our soap recipe to ensure that all of the lye in that soap has supernified. Now, assuming you need 100 grams of olive oil to supernify 50 grams of lye, okay, instead of putting that exact 100 grams, maybe you could put 110 grams of oil to ensure that all of that lye supernify in that your soap recipe. Else your soap is going to be lye heavy. It's going to have lye that did not supernify, and it's going to be dangerous on your skin. Okay, that's the basic thing I need you to understand. And secondly, you should know that every oil has a sap value, meaning that if you need 100 grams of coconut oil to supernify 50 grams of lye, for example, if you want to work with almond oil or olive oil for that same 50 grams of lye, you should know that it's not the same 100 gram of olive oil or 100 grams of almond oil you need. Every oil has the quantity that is needed to supernify that 50 grams of lye. That's what I want you to understand. So maybe you see a formula where they use 100 grams of coconut oil to supernify, as I'm just assuming, maybe 30 grams of lye, and you probably do not have coconut oil at home. You have olive oil, and you now go about and use the same 100 grams of olive oil. You should know that is wrong, because every oil has a sap value. Okay, so with the aid of this soap calculator, it's going to help you to tell you how much of the oils you need. Last, it's going to tell the quantity of each of the ingredients you need in your soap recipe to be safe on the skin. Okay, but I'm going to teach you several parameters that are needed to input into your soap calculator. I can calculate mine manually, but the soap calculator is good for people who are not really good with calculations. It's just going to display everything for you, but you have to input certain figures. So those certain figures you need to input, I'm going to teach you on a piece of paper. Like, the first thing you need to know is you have to decide on your own, what quantity of oil do I want to work with in this formula. Once you've decided that, you can be able to input it in your soap calculator. I'm just going to take a piece of paper now and show you guys the different parameters you need, okay, to make up your mind about, because you're going to input these parameters, these figures, in your soap calculator, and it's going to display everything for you. Okay guys, so please, if you want to know this, do not skip even a second, because every second matters in this video. All right, hi guys, so I want to teach you how you can put together your own soap formula if you want to make a bar soap or a liquid soap. But for this video, I would illustrate it, showing you how to formulate your own bar soap, any recipe of your choice. The first parameters, the parameters needed to formulate your recipe The first thing that should come to your mind when you want to formulate your recipe is the total weight of your oils. How many, you are going to decide how many mils of your oils do you want to work with. Okay, and the weight of your oils, you can work with them in grams, you can work with them in pounds or in ounces. So you should be very and you should know that if you are working in grams, all of your other measurements should go in grams. If you are working in pounds, the rest of them should go in pounds. Like if your oils, you are working with your oils in grams, then your lye should be in grams. If you are working with your oils in pounds, your grams, you should measure your lye in pounds as well. Okay, so the total weight of oil, let me assume that I want to work with my oils in 500 grams. I want to make use of grams now. I want to work with 500 grams of oils. That's what I want to work with. Now, I'm not going to decide what kind of oils do I need to use for this formulation. Is it only one oil? If it's only one oil, then I should know that when inputting the percentage of my oil, it should be in 100%. Let me see, I'm working with olive oil, only olive oil now. The percentage, my percentage distribution. So the second parameter is percentage distribution of the oils. If I'm working with only olive oil, then the percentage should be in 100%. I would input it in the soap calculator as 100%. But if I'm working with 3 oils, let's say coconut oil, olive oil, and almond oil. Now it's up to me to decide. For coconut oil, I would like to work with it at 10%. My olive oil, I would love to work with it at 70%. My almond oil, I would love to work with it at 20%. So if you calculate all this together, it will give you 100%. So even if you are working with 5 oils, you should make sure that the total percentage of all of them should be over 100. If you are working with only olive oil, like here it's only olive oil, then it's going to be over 100%. So this is the second parameter that you should know. First is the total weight of oils you want to work with. Then second is their distribution. Then the third one is super fatting. Your super fat. How many percent super fat do you want to work with? And it's going to be in percentage as well. Now for your bar soaps, you can work with your super fat up to 5%, 10%, depending on what you want. Okay, but for your liquid soap, your percentage should be low. Okay, but for this bar soap, I want to work with my super fat at 4% super fat. You can decide to make your own 3, you can decide to make your own 4, you can decide to make your own 5, but try not to exceed 10%. Okay, try not to exceed 10% super fat. So I worked with 4 is good. 4% is actually good. Now the next parameter I should consider is my lye concentration. And this lye concentration too is going to be in percentage. So now there's something you need to understand. If your lye, when you're working with your lye and your water, the mixture of your lye and your water, there's something you need to know. If your lye, for example, you can make your lye 50%, and you can make your water, this is lye, yes, and you can make your water, that's your lye solution. I'm talking about your lye solution. You can make your water 50%. That's 50-50 now. Your lye is 50, your water is 50. Now there's something you need to understand. Your lye concentration cannot be greater than the amount of water, but it can be equal. You cannot decide to work with your lye at 40% and your water at 60%. It's still okay. Or you can decide to work with your lye concentration at 30% and your water at 70%. That's your lye and water solution. Now there's something you need to understand. If your water is 50 and your lye is 50, the implication of this is that your curing process will be shorter. The time it will take for your soap to cure will be shorter. Now your lye is 40%, your water is 60%. The time you take to cure will be on an average. But for this one that your lye is 30%, it contains more water, 70%. It's going to take a longer time for your soap to cure. That is just the implication. But note that your water concentration, you cannot be lower than the concentration of your lye in your lye solution. It cannot be lower. Okay, so these are the parameters you need to understand. So you can decide to formulate your own, either 50-50, 40-60. You can still do 45-55. It's not mandatory, but all I'm saying is ensure that the water, so your water is more than the percentage of your lye in your calculator. Okay, so this is it. Now I'm going to impute this this formula in the soap calculator. But for this formula I want to use, I always like to work with my lye at 40% and my water at 60%. So in the soap calculator, you will see where they will ask you for your lye concentration. Once they ask you for your lye concentration, you put this 40%. Don't forget about this 60%. Once you impute this, the calculator will tell you the amount of water needed. So the major thing that you need is your total weight of oils. You've decided that. Then you've decided the oils you want to work with, how you want to distribute them. If it's one, it's over 100%. If there are 3 or more, you distribute them over 100%. Then your super fattening, I decided to work with 4%. You can decide to work with 3, you can decide to work with 5, 6, according to what you are trying to achieve. But I would advise you don't go above 10%. Then for your lye concentration, you see the place they ask for lye concentration. For me, I like staying at the middle. Okay, it's better you stay at the middle. So I'm going to take my lye concentration at 40. So now I'm going to impute all these parameters in the soap calculator, and it will tell you how many grams of oils you will need, the distribution of how many grams of oil, the amount of super fattening you have to add, just like that. And there is also a place for your essential oils here. It's not really necessary you must impute the place for essential oils. For me, I like to calculate my essential oils. I'll later tell you guys how I impute my essential oils. But in the soap calculator, I can still show you how you can impute your essential oils. But for me, I just like to work with it manually. So guys, let's now impute these parameters in our soap calculator. Hi guys, so we have come to do our calculation. If you want to do your own calculation, make sure you go to soapcalc.net. Once you click on soapcalc.net on Google, it's going to appear. This is what is going to appear. Then you click on recipe calculator. Now this is when you click on recipe calculator, you can now calculate your formula. Okay, now the first thing you have to know is the type of lye. Are you working with sodium hydroxide or potassium hydroxide? You know that potassium hydroxide is meant for liquid soap and sodium hydroxide is meant for bar soap. So it's already in bar soap, that's sodium hydroxide. I'll leave it there. Then for my weight of oils, you can either work with your oils in pounds, ounces or grams. Me, I'm using grams, so I'll click on it and it's going to show me. I told you guys I'm working with 500 grams of oils, so it's already here. There's no need to change anything. But if you're working with 600, 700, you can change this. Now for your lye concentration, I already explained the lye concentration to you people, and in my explanation I told you I'm working with 40%. So yes, I'm going to click on 40% here. If you are working with 50, you can impute your 50. If you are working with 40, you can impute your 40. Any lye concentration you are working with, you impute it here. Now for your super fat, I want my super fat to be 4%, like I told you guys, so I'm putting my 4%. Then for your fragrance, you can see that it's already in 31 grams per kg. If you work with it at this level, it's going to tell you the amount of fragrance you need. Okay, but for my fragrance, I like working with it I like working with my fragrance manually. So I'm going to remove the fragrance. I'm going to remove it now. Okay, Now the next thing I have to do is to search for my oils. Now the first oil I'm searching for is almond oil, sweet almond oil. So once I click on the oil here, I'll add it up. Then I'll search for coconut oil. Yes, see my coconut oil. I'll click on this one and I'll add it up. Then I'll search for olive oil. Here is my olive oil. I'll click on it and I'll add it up. Now the distribution, I want my sweet almond oil to be 20. So I'm going to input my 20%. Then my coconut oil, I want it to be 10%. Then my olive oil, I want it to be 70%. Okay, so I've imputed this now. So you should make sure that everything amounts to 100. Okay, when I click on calculate recipe now, you can see that it's up to 100. It will show me if it is wrong. They will tell you that it's wrong. It has to be up to 100. And now my hands are shaking. I'm sorry, you have to bear with me. I'm not with so now see, everything here amounted to the 500 grams of the oils I want to work with. You can see that my almond oil is 100 grams, my coconut oil is 50 grams, and my olive oil is 350 grams. Now let me view this recipe. Now, okay, you have to bear with me. You can see that the total weight of oils I need in this formula, as I said, is 500 grams. The lye concentration they are showing you again, which you imputed, is 40%. But you see that water lye ratio, they'll still show you. It means that my water ratio is 1.5 and my lye ratio is 1. Assuming I put it 50, assuming my lye concentration was 50 here, my water will be 1 part, my lye will be 1 part. Do you get? Assuming I put my lye at 30%, you will see that my water ratio will now be 2 parts, my lye ratio will now be 1 part. So I didn't explain that one. I didn't use that one to explain for you guys because I felt this lye concentration is easy. But when you view a recipe, they will still show you the breakdown of everything. Okay, now let's go to our water. Now they are telling us that for this 500 grams of oils we are working with, the amount of water needed is 101.49 grams. But they will still show you your result in pounds and ounces. Okay, you can see that the amount of water needed is 0.224 pounds of water. So they'll still show you in grams and ounces, but we're working in grams. Then for your lye, it's showing you that the amount of lye you need for that oil is 67.66 grams. So if your water is 149 grams, your water is 67.66 grams, and your total oils is 500 grams. Yeah. Now you can see that for my fragrance, there was no fragrance because I didn't impute fragrance. Assuming I imputed the fragrance, they will tell me the amount of fragrance I need to work with in this formulation. Okay, so this is basically how you calculate your soap recipe. And now for the oil, now our sweet almond oil, they are telling you now it's 100 grams. Our coconut oil is 50 grams. Our olive oil is 350 grams. Okay, now I'm going to scroll. I want to show you a graph. Now this graph will give you an idea of what your soap will turn out to be. Now you see this graph now is telling you that this formula you formulated, your soap is going to be 20% hard. The cleansing is okay, 7%. The conditioning is okay, 76%. Bubbly is 7%. Creamy is 14%. This recipe is okay. Now you have to understand something, that the kind of oil you choose determines how hard your soap is going to come and how it's going to foam. Okay, that's the bubbly effect. Now the reason why our cleansing is even 7% and our bubbly is 7% is because I added coconut oil at 10%. If you don't include your coconut oil, you see that these ones will drop very well. This will drop very well. Okay, now we know that so when I'll go further to explain other things to you guys. But if you work with your coconut oil at 100%, only coconut oil, your soap will be very very dry, and you will see that your conditioning will reduce drastically. That soap will not have any conditioning effect, so I don't recommend you working with 100% coconut oil, because after the person finish bathing, person's skin will be dried. Okay, so this bar here will give you an idea. It's not always very accurate, but it's going to give you an idea of what your soap will turn out to be. Now this is telling you the properties of the oils, okay, in this your soap formulation. Lauric acid is 5%. You can see palmitic acid is 20%, stearic acid is 2%, just like that. So you can see that it's telling you the properties of the oils, okay, in your soap formulation. Oleic is 63%, linoleic is 12%. So I hope you guys understand. If there is anything you don't understand, you can ask me in the comment section. So this is how you formulate your soap recipe. I told you your soap is made up with water. Look at the major thing you need in your soap: water, lye, and oil. Okay, these three parameters are the major things you need. Then every other thing you add in your soap is an additive. That's if you want your soap to be lightening, if you want it to be whitening, if you want it to be exfoliating, whatever thing you add to your soap is secondary. Okay, so guys, I'm going to teach you guys how to also make a formula with other additives into your soap. All right, bye guys.